What is up, friends? Rob here, the Medicare minister, and I'm back with a brand new Spitting Fire Leadership podcast. And I have the one and only Doug Wood with me today, and I know he's going to spit some serious fire. But Doug, before we dive into that, will you just say hey to everyone real quickly?
What's going on, Rob? It is really cool to be here. Let's get going, man. I love that spitting fire, baby.
Yeah, man. Well, I'm excited. I know you're going to bring it today. But before we dive in today, I just want to remind all of those that are watching to please comment, like, subscribe below, so that way you're notified every time we drop fresh content like this. And here's why I do this. I interview top leaders like this because I want you to know that all of you deserve to win. And if there's something said today that can help you go after your dreams, put fresh wind in your sails is the way that I like to say it, then that is my goal for today, because I don't want you to give up. You deserve to bet on yourself. And I know some of the things that Doug is going to share with us today is going to put that fresh wind, is going to motivate you, inspire you, encourage you to go on at least one more day. So once again, Doug, I know you're a busy guy. Thank you for being so generous with your time today. And I like to always start off the podcast this way. Could you give us what I call that Sports Center highlight version of your life, maybe a little bit of background, some of that transition time up to where you're at today?
Oh, most definitely. I feel like, everybody at some point in life, you live two lives. You live the life that you're just kind of wandering through, doing what you were supposed to do, maybe operating in the college degree that you got a few years ago, or trying to make that business work that somebody told you you'd be good at. And you're just kind of doing what I say, the day-to-day, the do-to-do. And some people might even call it the American dream. But I realized, Rob, 12 years ago when I owned a couple furniture stores out in Portland, Oregon, small family business. It was great. High seasons, low seasons. But I knew, you know what, I was meant to play at a bigger level. I was meant to, if this is the American dream, I didn't want it no more, because I knew that I was called to greatness. And so, I started by taking my physical health to the next level. And that was the beginning step for me, because I knew for a fact that people are not going to take you seriously if your health is drastically out of order. And I knew that was something that I had to get control of and take personal responsibility for. That's, there's a lot of stuff going around in 2021 that, are out of our control. But something that is in our control is what is going through our pie hole every single day. And I said, you know what, Doug, enough is enough. Yeah, you may have felt like you've tried all the things, but I got to do something, and I got to do it consistently. And so I stumbled into the health and wellness industry. My wife and I own a nationwide health coaching business, and we help people all over the nation take their health to the next level. But that was my aha moment when I took personal responsibility for me, because that unlocked the doors to many new conversations, many new people. I mean, the great Coach Burt says, you don't have a money problem, you have a people problem. Right. And the people is us. And so for me, I had to say, okay, what is it that we can control? And then we could actually go out and help the world. And so that's what we do now. I help people take their health to the next level. I'm a business and life coach. And of course, 2 years ago, I wrote the best-selling book, Church Boy to Millionaire. And the year before that, I launched Valor Global Online School, which we were doing online school before it was cool over the last 18 months. And so, between all of that, I love helping people win. If it has to do with family, if it has to do with marriage, if it has to do with purpose. And of course, yes, making more money. But I think making more money has everything to do with the mindset and the things that you're doing on the inside before it shows up in your bank account.
Sure. No, I love that intro. And a couple of things I want to just touch on real quickly is the health and wellness. You're in that space. You're a health wellness coach, life coach, business coach. Why do you think so many entrepreneurs overlook the health area? Because even like someone myself, I didn't have the best diet growing up. Even 2 years ago, before I started to work out, I was drinking 9 Pepsis a day. I was having headaches, was just miserable in my health. But when I began to make those changes, it allowed me to be a better leader. Why do you think so many leaders overlook that health part of it?
Because in the beginning, it's not costing you anything until it's costing you everything.
Yeah.
And so, you get away with it, and then you build on bad habits. And sometimes, us as business owners and entrepreneurs and agents, we're all like, we kind of wear how hard we work as a badge of honor. I put in 50 hours a week. Well, I put in 60. And the next guy says they put in 70 or 80. And they also brag on how much sleep they don't get. Okay, when you're in the startup game, I guess if that's the type of industry you're in,
Sure.
and that's where your bragging rights is, it's kind of like in high school, you're bragging about other things, or in college, now you're like bragging about how little you slept and how hard you worked, to where eventually you're going, okay, that's not cool anymore. Like, for us to be operating on our best, we have to actually make some changes if we want what we're working on, or everything that we touch that we have influence on, to grow. And I believe everything starts with your physical health. Because if your physical health in order, it's impossible for your mental and your spiritual health to be out of order, because you're starting with fueling your body and getting the proper amount of sleep. And then you are literally at your best. And if you want to work 70, 80 hours a week on top of that, like some weeks I have and do,
Sure.
But you know what? You've got the most important rocks in your schedule in order. And those are non-negotiables for me, at least. And I challenge them for other entrepreneurs, man. Set that rock in your schedule first physically. Everything else falls into place.
Sure. So let me ask part B of that. What are some of the main differences that you've seen as a leader when you made that switch for the health and wellness, or if not in yourself, and others that you've coached? What are some big differences that you see? And the reason I say that is because we have leaders from different spaces that watch this, and maybe you're watching this right now. And listen, Doug is here for a reason, right? He's on this podcast for a reason, and maybe he's spitting some fire in this area for you today, that there needs to be a paradigm shift in your eating pattern and your health and wellness pattern. So what are some benefits that you've seen as a leader?
Well, Rob, I think you know me well enough now. I just kind of cut the crap and get right to it. So us dudes, man, let's just talk about ourselves. If we want to have more sex with our spouses,
sure.
Well, does our spouse want to have more sex with us? And if we smell like chicken wings and burgers coming home late at night from a sales day, like, that's really not the most desirable. And then we turn around and complain and say, man, I wish, or should I say in our head, we're wishing our wife was hotter, or man, she doesn't look like she does before the kids. Well, neither do you. So why don't we start by taking personal responsibility for ourselves? And you know what? It shows up everywhere else, because it was the coolest thing. And it is about 7 years ago, I was in Dallas, Texas, Rob, and this guy I had helped lose over 150 pounds. His wife had lost over 100 pounds. Now, these people were morbidly obese. Most of the people I helped, lose, between 10, 20, 30, 40 pounds. But this person, they'd each lost a significant amount of weight. The dude comes up to me and gives me a hug, and he whispers in my ear, and he said, Doug, thank you for coaching me. He goes, because literally last week was the first time my wife and I were able to be intimate in over 5 years. And so the things that we take for granted, sometimes we don't know the struggle that other people are going through. And so I just believe, like, you know what, let's do what we can to take ourselves physically to the next level. And it does affect our marriage, us as fathers and mothers, our the way we show up. A lot of times we're triggered through our anger or frustration by just literally our physical well-being feeling out of tact or out of balance. But last but not least, I'm sorry, people do not take you seriously when you're sloppy overweight and you got your shirt untucked or things are busting at the seams. Like, you want to have, I always say fashion is just confidence. You got to have inner confidence, and it starts with, physical. I didn't say being perfectly fit, because to me, I'm still not. I'm a work in progress, but you've got to do some things to where you get your inner game, your inner confidence game, because it actually is affecting you so much financially as well.
And so if someone today is watching this, I just want to stay here for a second. This was a paradigm shift for me about 2 years ago. I took it for granted. I'm a relatively small guy. I've always been, not overweight, but man, I ballooned about 35 pounds over because I was drinking those Cokes and those Pepsis. And at 47 years old, I really had to at 45 then, I had to take a serious look and go, listen, I have to own this hard, right? I got to choose which hard I want to go with, right? Do I want to continue to be overweight, or do the discipline what it takes to get in the gym and eat better and all those things? What kind of paradigm shift has to happen in someone's mind for them to, because there's people that are watching this that go, I've tried. What have you seen has been the wake up moment, or what is something that you can do personally as a coach to help people wake up and say, hey, I need to take my health more seriously?
I think everything starts and finishes with personal responsibility, to where everybody has to hit that point to where you say, enough is enough. And I got tired of falling asleep on my couch in front of the TV, not even wanting to get down and play with my kids. I gave my best for the last 10 to 12 hours to all my employees, all my customers. And I came back and there was nothing left in the tank. And it wasn't because I had just worked 12 hours. It was because my body was shutting down, and I would not eat all day, and I'd come home, or I'd stop and I'd eat on the way home, and I'd come home and I was just absolutely exhausted, and I was not being the best, to where I was just like, yes. And I felt like, you know what? I had tried everything, Rob, but clearly I hadn't, because I found a program that worked and I reached out to a health coach. And so I think it just literally comes to, you know what? I maybe didn't come from a healthy family. Maybe I didn't grow up in this position or in this sales position, learning literally healthy habits or the habits of health. But you know what? I need to reach out to somebody who does know and who can, and I need to start doing something consistently. Because sometimes we think like, man, we need to make a drastic change to everything. No, you don't. You need to wake up tomorrow morning. You need to drink a bottle of water before you drink that coffee. You want to eat within the first 30 minutes of waking up. You want to start eating smaller meals throughout the day, not waiting and having one big meal at the end of the day and starving yourself all day. There's simple little things that we can start doing consistently. It's not like, man, I need to be running 3 miles a day. No, you need to get up and you need to walk around the neighborhood for 10 minutes before you go hop in the shower. Like, start by doing something and build on each small consistency. If you don't know where to start, I mean, there's a couple of easy things that you can do. And last but not least, stop putting so much freaking caramel and junk in your Starbucks coffee.
Right.
I mean,
right.
Just go back to good old black coffee with a splash of cream. I mean, just the simple things all add up over time.
Right. No, I think that's good. I think so many people make it harder than what it really has to.
Yeah.
And it's just simply beginning to take those little steps, even if it's just getting 1% better every single day. That's what I teach the people here in our space, the insurance space, is, listen, let's just get 1% better every day. Let's take baby steps. Let's just move forward. I call it taking massive imperfect action. Just take action, do something that's different than from what you're normally doing. So I love what you're sharing that. That you're sharing that with our audience. I want to go back for a second, because one of the things you talked about being called to greatness, and I have in my notes here, because I'm taking notes as you're talking, but I went back and I saw one of your Facebook posts that I really loved. And it was about, and I'm paraphrasing here, it was about people saying you were posting too much or to slow down. And you were just saying that you were grateful that you didn't listen to those people. And so the question I had is, why do so many people, you think, and just in your opinion, let the opinions of others rob them from greatness or from their dreams?
Well, I just look back to where that post came from, and literally being so grateful for pushing through the opinions of others, pushing through challenging status quo, pushing through leaving the furniture business, when literally I'm a third generational, furniture business dude in my family. For the first time, I disrupted the pattern of what I was supposed to do. And what I kind of say, for me, Rob, I'm like, I stopped doing what people wanted me to do, and I started doing what God and I felt like I was supposed to do, because I'm operating in my unique ability now. And so I think everybody has to realize, like, hey, unless people are willing to pay my bills, start paying my mortgage, start putting my kids in private school, then you know what? I don't need their opinion. I don't care if they're blood related. I don't care if they go to my church. I don't care if the pastor or the bishop of my church. Like, I have to do what I've got to do. And here's the big one. When something great has happened to you, something significant, when something value has been added to your life, I believe we have a duty and an obligation to share it with the world. And today in 2021, and it has been for the last 10 years, is to share it, like just right here through podcasts. Like, if this is adding value to your life, you should be clicking the 3 dots. You should be clicking copy link, and you should be posting this in your Instagram story, your Facebook story, your LinkedIn. This thing should be going everywhere, because if it's giving you value, it needs to give somebody else value. And it doesn't matter what someone says about it. Again, unless they're going to pay your bills, they do not get a say. And you know what? This isn't high school. This isn't college, the frat party, to where we get all these, little conversations going about us. No, it's 2021. You got to do what you got to do. And the world needs to know about it. So you post, You share. You do another podcast or a Facebook Live on top of the one you did an hour ago, and you keep getting the message out.
That's it, man. No, that's spitting some serious fire right there. I love it because I had to learn a long time ago that it's okay not to be everyone's flavor. And I think you would agree with that, right? I have a divine assignment. I know what my creator has called me to do, and I'm going to do it at any cost. I'm not here to make best friends with everyone. I would like to be friends with everyone, but if I can't be, that's okay, because the assignment that I've been called to, the mission, is more important than people's opinions. What is one way, like as we pause here just for a second, what is one way to somebody's watching this, that some advice that you can give them in this moment, how to start overcoming that? Is it just taking action? Was it something for you that you just said, you know what, I looked in the mirror, so to speak, and I just said, you know what, forget it, I don't care anymore? Like, how did they get over that fear, that initial hump of that fear?
Speak to the one, not everyone.
That's
Speak
good.
to the one, not everyone. And I think sometimes we overthink it, Rob. We really overthink, like, man, what are people going to think? Well, why don't you stop thinking about people, because they're not thinking of you. And why don't you think of the one person that had the same struggle or the same challenge that you did, and you have something in your hands that can help them win, whether it be life insurance, car insurance, whether you're a real estate agent, whether you're a health coach. Like, if you have something that adds value to other people, why don't you go, who is the person out there right now that is confused, struggling, doesn't know what to do? And why don't you look yourself in the green dot and talk to them today? Don't think I'm like, hey, and you see that, hey, what's up, everyone? No. Hey, what's going on? If you don't know this is my story. This is what happened to me. If you're out there going through the same challenge I am, reach out to me. Like, we have to just start speaking to the one, because you'll find if you connect with the one, you truly will connect with mostly everyone. Yeah.
I totally agree, man. And that makes me think of our mutual friend, Coach Burke. He says there's a book, at least one book in all of us. And you talked about your book earlier. Tell us a little bit about that book real quickly, and what does it encompass?
Oh man, it's a unique book. It's called Church Boy to Millionaire, which I realized, myself included, most people judge a book by its cover. So I figured I would give something to someone to judge, give them a book so they can judge it. Because yes, I talk about faith, religion, and money all in the same book. And it really was birthed out of the cry of my heart in 2018. I had traveled. I had taken my family out of the country 3 different times. I went to the Holy Lands in Jerusalem, Israel.
Wow.
I had spent 35 days in Europe on a one-way ticket there. We didn't know when we were coming home. We just traveled through Europe as a family in the summer of 2018. And then in the end of 2018, I took my family to Singapore and Bali. And when I was at the end of the year, I realized that, man, there were some things that I was starting to find out about my family that I hadn't known about. Hello, Ancestry.com. It reveals a lot of family secrets.
Right.
But also I had realized that there was some things that I had learned about myself. And I had been going to a lot of conferences, and I'm seeing speakers on stage. And by the world standards, I was very successful. I was a multimillionaire, had what a lot of people desire to be, but I still had challenges. I still had struggles. And as I would go to these conferences, Rob, some of the speakers, I felt like were cutting part of their story out. They were just telling the juicy, good, fun stuff. They weren't telling me about the day-to-day struggle. They weren't telling me about their off weeks. They're kind of alluding to that every day is a perfect day. And I'm like, that's impossible, because I've accomplished actually more than some of these speakers, and they're not telling the full story, just like my family hadn't told me the full story about my family. So I decided to, when I was on a plane to Singapore, I'm like, man, if this plane goes down, heaven forbid, there is nothing to leave my kids the full truth about literally our journey and my journey to becoming a full-time millionaire, like the ups and the downs, the struggles, the truly the more struggles on top of struggles, the failure, even as a millionaire, the challenges that come with it. Like, there's nobody talking about, addiction. There's nobody talking about, religion and faith and why money is actually a good thing. It's okay to chase it. And so I just decided I would take some controversial subjects that had been controversial in my family, that had liberated me to be a generation changer for my family moving forward. I'm like, I've got to get this thing out in print and Audible. And so I wrote the 25 chapter, Church Boy to Millionaire. It's a hardback and it's also on Audible as well. And I decided, I'm like, I've got to get this thing out. And little did I know, I started talking about taboo subjects, Rob. It sold 15,000 copies.
Wow.
In its first 6 months. And now it still sits on Amazon and, all the websites and stuff too. So it's really a business entrepreneurial development book that I really tackle some of these mindsets that some of the traditional business books don't.
Yeah. And I'll definitely put that link there, that on the Amazon link here in the show notes and the description when we go to post this. But let's go taboo for a minute, because I'm the same way. I'm raw, I'm real. I'm been to seminary, former church planter, pastor, been in some form of ministry for over 20 years. And I actually, just being fully transparent here, I fell into that broke myth as a minister. Mm-hmm. I don't know if anybody necessarily preaches it from the pulpit, but there's this aura, there's this feeling that ministers can't have a lot of money, or it's kind of looked down upon. But as I grew and I matured, and I would love to hear your thoughts on this, I actually feel today at 47 that the more that I live on mission, for my Creator, and the more impact and value that I give while I'm living on mission, the more income that actually flows my way. Why do so many Christians struggle with that? What is it about the money or the love of money that so many Christians struggle with that keeps them back from really going after their dreams and being ultra successful?
Yeah, I break that down in the book. There's a chapter in there called Profit with Purpose. And it's good to be profitable, very profitable. And I mean, very profitable if you're living in your unique ability and operating in your purpose. It just took me till I was 32 to kind of figure out what that was going to look like. But I think it all starts with it's our past, and it's the stuff we were told. I have found myself, Rob, telling my girls and my son things that my dad told me. And I had to actually go back and kind of confront some of the things that, my dad was just telling me some things that his dad had told him. I found it's just been a part of the family, because at some point somebody decided to say money was bad because they saw one time somebody with money do something, right, quote unquote, what they thought was bad from it. So they saw it ruin a family. So they stepped back and they said, hey, money is the root of all evil. And they would leave out the actual verse, the love of money. Because if you pull out $100 bill, I mean, a $100 bill, the same $100 bill in your wallet and my wallet right now, I guarantee has been used for a lot of things when it was in your hands and when it hasn't been in your hands. It was probably used to buy drugs, probably used to buy a lot of things. But you know what? I bet that $100 bill has been tithed on, given on, it's been through missionaries' hands. It's been all around the world to open orphanages. So I'm thinking about that. It's not money. It's the spirit that's behind it. And I realized that I was just grown up with a negative spirit around it. And yes, keep pastors humble, and it'll change your life and stuff. Yeah, money will change your life if a good person is behind it, doing good stewards, being a good steward of it. And so I just think it has everything to do with our upbringing. And that's what I did. I talk about the church boy, that you don't have to leave the church to become a millionaire. Because I think it's like, oh man, do I either want to be a good Christian boy, or do I want to go out there and quote unquote chase money? And I realized, no, too many people today are throwing, literally, I believe, God out with the church water. And I get, churches aren't perfect. But I realize there's a healthy balance there. And I tackle and break down all those subjects, really, how to take what you've grown up with, how to actually get to a healthy place with it. And maybe it's internal forgiveness for the way your parents or an uncle or what somebody said about it, or a pastor, but then turn around and use your unique ability and figure out how ways to create profit with purpose, for your business idea. So.
Yeah, no, I love it, man. And to put it kind of in the way I say it, and it goes along with what you're saying. And listen, I'm definitely going to get the book myself, because I want to read it. I'm definitely believe that leaders are readers, but we got to deal with the mess of yesterday, man, right? To live on mission today.
That's right.
And a lot of times it took me a long time to get there, and a lot of demons. And I dealt with some addiction and some other things in my life. But you know what? God repurposed that in my life, as you said, to share that story with someone, to be an inspiration, to be an encouragement. And I love that. Just share it with the one, man. You don't worry about sharing with everyone. Just find that one that resonates with your story. And you never know when that life-changing moment for that person may be the breakthrough for your life as well. So,
and Rob, here's where people get hung up. And I want to tie our last two subjects. Somebody right now is thinking of somebody else needs to hear this. And you're like, man, so-and-so needs to hear this. And then the next thing you thought is, boy, if I send this to them, what are they going to think of why? Sure. Then we start overthinking why they thought that they would think of us. And the bottom line is, stop it. You just thought of something. Somebody right now is on your mind. I mean, literally, I know Rob wouldn't care. Pause this podcast and send them a 30-second video. And say, hey, I don't know why, but you're on my mind today. And if you're a praying type, pray for them and then say, I'm praying for you. Have a great day. Like, we've got to do the little things for the one person. If this podcast has blessed you, you need to take this, you need to send it to somebody and just say, hey, this podcast just blessed me. I think you would enjoy it, and stop thinking about how they're going to receive it. Your duty, our duty, is to push out and to send. You let God or the universe or anybody else figure out how they're going to receive it. You can't own that. And I think that's what holds so many people up right now, Rob, is that we're overthinking every action step that we're taking. And we need to stop thinking. We need to do more doing.
Listen, man, you just took us to church, bro. I was looking for the
choir. Come on.
And, I was looking for the church. Hallelujah.
Cue the music, baby.
I totally agree with that, man. You and I are definitely on the same page. Actually, it was interesting you say that, because before I got on the podcast, God just put somebody on my heart to send a message to, man, a fellow pastor that's kind of going through some challenges. And so I love that, man. Listen to that inner voice. For me, it's God, man. It's God's spirit telling me to do that. For you, it may be something different, but that is some of the greatest advice, is just to share. You never know how big of a difference you're going to make in your life. So kind of staying on this real quickly, what is your definitions, or let's say differentiation, I should say, or how do you differentiate between happiness and fulfillment? Because I hear so many people using those words interchangeably, but I honestly believe there's a difference between being happy and being fulfilled. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah. If I go play golf, that makes me happy. There's no fulfillment there, though, because I can play all the golf I want. I reached a point to where literally, if I play golf every day, I still get paid a lot. Right. And if I don't play any golf, I still get paid. So you can only play so many rounds of golf. And for me, when I know I'm operating at my best, there's a fulfillment that comes. And right now, I'm operating in my unique ability. I am truly being fulfilled, Rob. And I'm glad that we worked this out. And I'm not saying that to sound cute for your podcast. No. I am at my best and most fulfilled when I am adding value to another human being. I could go out and tee it up today. That's going to be fun, but fun only lasts. And it took me a while, because, from the world standards, I have a lot of stuff, but I realized I don't even care about it anymore. Like, it's just stuff.
Right.
Stuff comes and goes. People adding value to this world. Oh my gosh, that is why we're on this side of heaven. I mean, that's what I'm called to do. And if all of you listening right now, if you're not being paid for being literally fulfilled, doing what you feel like you are supposed to be doing, yes, sometimes it might show up through a transaction or agent, but you love what you're doing and you're making this world and people better, then you ought to be being paid for it. So figure that out and make sure you're operating in that. And so I don't know if it's a true definition, Rob, but I tell you, it is a huge difference between happy and fulfillment. Of course, you're going to be happy when you're fulfilled, but
sure. So does going, or how you define success, does it go along with that? Because you talked about your unique ability, providing value. How would Doug Wood define success today?
Operating in your unique ability. Because I talk in chapter 6 of my book. It's called The Millionaire Mindset. Money and how much is in your bank account has nothing to do with success. I believe everything starts in our mind and what's going on in our heart. And I know some of the most fulfilled people that are truly content. And I'm not content like I don't want more. Just no, I am good.
Sure.
Right where they're supposed to be. And other people, you know what? If you had to strap me down and tell me my same income for the next 10 years, I would go crazy because let me decide how much I'm worth this year. But that's just me. But you know what? When I'm in pursuit of that, I am the most fulfilled. So it has nothing to do with your measurement or my measurement of success. I think we all have those are, and also that we're living up to it as well. And we're not settling if we know that we're meant to do something bigger or better.
So how did you find your unique ability? Like somebody that's watching this, you've used that word a lot, and I love that. I call it our 10, what our 10 is. Yep. How did you begin that process? Was it a speaker? Was it a book? Was it, I know, an aha moment, a divine situation? What is it for you that began that shift to find that unique ability?
Well, back when I owned furniture stores, I did sales meetings once a week. And that was the part that I look forward to the most. The team was most fired up, but I hated the day-to-day. I hated literally the other 6.5 days of the week. Hate everything about owning a furniture store. I hated it. Man, but I love speaking life into my team for 30 minutes on a Saturday morning. That's
good.
And I knew I was good at that, but man, I wish I could just do that, but that didn't pay me anything.
Right.
You know, we still had to go out and produce.
Right.
And so when I got healthy, took my health to the next level, and I started doing, sharing with 5-10 people about health at a time. I'm like, man, I was just on another planet. I was adding value to somebody else's life. Whoa, this is amazing. And I kept going. And then I, get asked to speak on bigger stages and, do a lot more things. I'm like, man, I love helping people win. And by that time, I had kind of stumbled into being paid for it because I didn't know you could get paid, to speak, to write, to add value to people's life every single day, through different coaching programs and things like that. And there I was. So I like to say I stumbled into it, but I was actually stumbled into it doing what I love, just figure out a way to do more of it.
No, that's good, man. What is one leadership principle? Because that's really what this podcast is about. We were talking before we went live here or recording, that there's a lot of strategy podcasts out there. There's nothing wrong with that. They're good. But really, I wanted to dive deep into leadership principles. And we already talked about mindset. But what is one that you've learned that you've really leaned into and one that you lead from and teach others?
Yeah. In every relationship I'm a part of, I'm intentional in a relationship and I'm organic in the outcome. And what that truly means for me is I with my team, even that I coach, with my employees, I don't always try to be right. But I try to listen more and listen with an intent to understand and not just to tell people what to do, because leadership, especially when you're a boss, you can tell people what to do. And guess what? If they don't want to do it, you can decide if you're going to fire them or not. And they're going to do something because they ought to be doing it, or there's fear of you. But not necessarily that I'm not going to the approach of you want your team to always like you and love you. But you know what? I read a book probably 10 years ago, Rob, by John Maxwell called 5 Levels of Leadership.
Right.
And that changed the way I look at leadership, because I realized to a lot of people, I was a positional leader. I was not influential, and I was not necessarily always in the trenches with them. And I would challenge you, those of you listening to this right now, if you have 5 employees or your 5 key people in your business, do you know their spouses' names? Do you know their kids' names? And do you even know one personal goal that they have outside of your business? Or do they have any goals for your business? And if you don't know a couple of basic little things about some of your key people, you're a little bit too much about your mission and you've forgotten about their mission. If you get on board, even for 30 seconds, with their mission and their heart and their family, hey, what's something that you love the most about working here? What's the biggest challenge about working for me? Like if you can create space that your employees, your key people can get, and you can get buy-in to your mission, I tell you what, you're going to see the results and the profitability of your company go up, because your employees are going to be like, he sees me. I feel like I'm a part of something bigger than just my paycheck that I get every single 2 weeks. So I always just look for little tiny things to keep the relationship lines open, because once relationship and someone closed up, mentally they start quitting. They just don't give you their notice for 6 more months.
Right. No, that right there was worth the podcast alone. John Maxwell, the OG, man. I love John.
Yeah, he is.
I love his quote that people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
That's right.
And unfortunately, as you said, there's a lot of leaders out there that want to tell people what to do You don't want to crack the whip,
Yeah.
but their people don't really know they care about them.
Yeah.
Right. And so, man, that was pure gold. Two more things real quickly. And like I said, you've been so generous with your time. You could be a million other places. And thank you for spitting fire with us today. I ask this with everyone that comes on the podcast. If there was one word that you could use to describe yourself, what would that one word be?
Passion.
How has passion helped you get to the level that you're at today?
We all have a story, and I've just chosen to share mine, all parts of my story, with passion, because people don't buy products. They're not buying insurance. They're not buying stuff. They're buying people. They want to do business with someone that believes in what they have in their hands, that's going to add value to the world. And guess what? People buy my passion every single day. And it's not manufactured, Rob. This is me, dude. This is just, dude, I'm sitting in my own home office right now, just doing my thing. It's a random Tuesday here, baby. But guess what? Every time that camera turns on, if it's not on, that phone turns on, man, I know that I am meant to speak life into other people. And I will always err on the side of passion, because I know that with my passion, with my story, all of us utilizing our one word, and if we do it well and we do it consistently, we're going to change this world for goodness. And there's a lot of confused people out there right now in this world. There's a lot of, heavy political stuff and non-political stuff. Yeah. And you know what? If we would just all operate in our unique ability and use our one word and do it well, we're going to turn around and, you know what, here in a year or so, look back and go, dang, we just plowed through 2021 and 22. We didn't just settle and survive it.
No, I love that. I'm definitely a passionate person myself, and I can feel it, man. I can feel it through the Zoom call, and I love being around passionate people, just living every day, man, on purpose, waking up, knowing that I can make a difference. It's easy to go get negative. It's easy to go focus on all this other stuff. But I believe it takes true intentionality just to get up every day and go, man, I got one more day. I want to make it count. I want to do something.
It is, because think about that, Rob. Like, we are God's highest form of creation. When he created the mountains and the trees and the ocean, and then dogs and cats and elephants, he chose us to have spirit. He chose us to give us life and access to these phones, these multi-million-dollar devices that we can either use them to complain about, watch crap that just is toxic to us, right, or we can use them to bring life to this world. And I'm like, dude, God chose us as humans not to just sit around and live 80 years, but to do something. And I'm like, man, I could have, because every time I see my dog, I'm like, dude, God could have chose me to be Buddy. Right. And Buddy could have been me. I'm like, even if I was a dog, man, I'd be the coolest freaking dog ever. Yeah. But I'm just like, dude, we're the highest form of creation. We have a mandate to do something with the life that we've been given while the window of time that we're here on earth. And so, yeah, I ain't wasting it. And I challenge all of you listening right now, don't be sitting around, go do something today and make our life count.
Yeah, it's good. My sense of humor won't let me let it go, man. What kind of dog would you be? I know you'd be a passionate dog, but what kind of dog?
Well, right now I'd be a Boston Terrier, because that's my little buddy.
Okay. I got you. Well, no, I just had to ask, man. No, I love that. Good stuff. Well, listen, as we wrap up today, where can we find you? I mean, I know you're on Facebook, but what other platforms, websites, where can we find you?
Yeah, I connect real well over on Instagram. The Real Doug Wood is a great place. I do a lot of DM and share a lot of different things there, as well as my website, churchboytomillionaire.com, has a lot of my different videos, information, a book, all that type of good stuff. But I love the gram, man. And I do a lot through my story. And so I take people along with my day-to-day grind, my day-to-day family life, and bring people into a window of my world of an entrepreneur and living a passionate guy. So I share the story through the gram.
Yeah, awesome. And definitely, if someone's looking to change that health and wellness thing, reach out to you to the gram.
Please,
right?
please.
Yeah, because man, it sounds like you're changing people's lives, and I'm definitely all about that. I know the people that are watching this are definitely about that as well. And so, thank you once again. And listen, I just want to remind all of you as we close today that Doug can't make you do it. I can't make you do it. But the reason why I do this podcast is I pray something was said today, once again, that puts fresh wind in your sails, that says, I deserve to win because I believe the God of the universe wants me to win. And I really believe this, friends, that all of heaven is cheering you on. But you have to see it for yourself. Today has to be the day that you say, I'm going to bet on myself and I'm going to start living on purpose as my divine creator created me to be. So I want to remind you guys again, please like, as Doug's shared multiple times, please share, comment, give us some feedback, but also subscribe so that way you're notified every time we drop content like this. I just want to say God bless you guys. Make it an awesome day, and we'll talk to you soon.